Now that we've added a bunch of capability to this thing, we're realistically gonna test its limits off-road and get it stuck. And in order to get it back out again, we need a decent tow point. The factory tow points, like these little eyes, are great to get it on the flatbed and back to the dealership. But realistically, I flat towed this once on the street and this is bent now. So we're gonna come up with a better solution for front and rear tow points. I'd like to come up with a hitch of some sort, and I'd really like to add a winch so we can really test its limits, get it stuck, and get it back out again. All right, so up front, my main goal is to try to find a spot to put this winch. I wanna make some sort of winch plate and mount setup in here that is tucked behind the bumper. I don't want anything hanging off the front. This is a very big winch. This is a 10,000 pound, which is a little overkill for the X5 right now. It might not be overkill later. But if we can fit something this big, a smaller winch will fit even easier. So that's the plan. We have a pretty good void between the radiator and the bumper here. Some cars had an electric fan, so I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with that. But while we're at it, I'd like to make some tow points incorporated in that. So something that would mount through the front here and have some D-ring mounts, something a lot more rugged than the factory tow eye. All right, so for the goal for this project is to try to, incorporate a hidden winch in the bumper, as well as have some tie-in recovery points along with that. So I scan the front of the car. I have, the bumper and everything. I have what is the pre-LCI bumper too, because that's a little bit different. It should work just about the same. So I marked up the winch I have and everything. Made a quick bracket here, which basically replaces that whole crash beam assembly. So this bolts up there. Plenty of space on the LCI cars for in front of the radiator. 6-cylinder and pre-LCI cars, though, have this fan. So for the AC and everything, there's an auxiliary cooling fan in the front. So I had to make sure the bracket has space for that. It's very close, and there's a little fan cover that may or may not fit, or you might have to trim a little bit. But without the cover, it can definitely fit and fit behind the bumper with this big of a winch. So that was the goal. Pretty tricky to get it all to fit, honestly. But that's in there. These recovery points tie right in. This tray bolts right on nicely. So it's going to be kind of one of those things where when it comes to what winch you buy and how you trim your bumper to fit, it's going to be a little bit of a choose your own adventure situation. But you can trim it as neatly or as not neatly as you want, depending on how much you care. So everything's here for the hidden winch mount. All of this tucks behind the bumper, as you saw when we went over it on screen, but we have all the pieces here and I've QI'd them. They're to spec, so now it's just installing it. We've got the main tray here, which has a couple bumper mounting locations because the core support's gone. These mount to the end of the frame rails, gives you a nice D-ring mounting position, as well as a way to mount this tray. And then we've got a couple brackets for the bumper and the core support to kind of tie all that back in. It's all damp.
Still wet from
cleaning it off from, like, this is legitimately 30 minutes after the last video when we were off-roading. Yucky. This is where my little bracket goes. There's one of those, because these tabs are part of the core support for here. So, or this bumper support. This whole radiator support piece has these tabs, so make that.
Looks good.
Yeah. So I have to take this brace out.
Hey, I try my best to put all our tools back that we use.
I know, but they're missing, so.
Yeah.
With you, I have to yell at you. It's the rule.
I know.
It's not personal.
Just how things go.
Yeah. How else are you gonna remember not to forget to put the tool?
Yeah.
freaking shoe.
Ooh.
So, this should do that. It's a good sign. And this should do that. It's a little tight. I'll leave everything loose until I put the tray in, because you can shift it side to side and I want it centered on the car. So there's a little bit of wiggle room. But yeah, all the wiggle.
Thoughts on the fitment so far, Mike?
So far, pretty good. I'm gonna open up the holes in this little bracket to give it a little more freedom here. They're not critical, it just needs to hold stuff. So the alignment was a little tighter than I'd like. Otherwise, fits nice. Need to include hardware for this bolt. I forgot about that. But overall, pretty good. Hey, that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
We're crushing this trim a little bit, but I think it's okay. I guess you could put this together on the ground first too. I just figured it'd be easier if you weren't trying to juggle everything at once and line everything up. I'm going to center it on the car. It's pretty close to centered from what I can tell.
It looks pretty centered.
These are slotted because every car is a slightly different size. So if I can boop it over a little bit and make it even, be nice. Let's center it just a little more. Good enough.
How's it looking, Mike?
Good. Fits pretty good. Couple small adjustments I'm gonna make with some hole sizes to make install a little easier, but it's on, it's rugged. So next up, we're gonna trim the bumper because this is a hidden winch. So depending on your winch, you have to trim different spots. So it's kind of gonna be up to you, but we're gonna do a time lapse of what I'm doing and you can kind of base it off that. All right, so I have the bumper all trimmed up. I kind of took the long and arduous task of trying to make it be very close to fitting everything. And depending on your winch, you're gonna have to trim slightly different areas. But I trimmed out some of the plastic here for the front winch plate, and then I've been massaging it slightly around here so that it fits the winch snugly. Also, a bunch of stuff was broken, so I kind of had to epoxy my smashed bumper back together. Another thing I'm trying to do is I'm moving the PDC sensors because where the winch plate goes is interfering with that. So I moved them outboard. I'm gonna see what they do. They should work fine. All I have to do is lengthen this one sensor here and yeah. Every winch is a little different as far as where the solenoid goes and that type of thing. So the bumper comes in right about here. So I made a little bracket just to move the solenoid back. A lot of them you can just mount somewhere else depending on the size. It's kind of one of those things, if you're installing this type of a product, you kind of have to roll with the punches a little bit. But power and ground are super easy. Even the included cables worked out for the stock jump points. So there's the stock ground right here. I just threw the ground on that. And then up here at the positive jump point, just sandwich both and everything works. When we first put these on in the earlier clips, I put the left on the right and right on the left. So now they're on the right way. And at this point, we just got to throw the bumper back on and put it back together. Oh, this is weird. All right, winch is installed, works well, bumper's trimmed, everything fits pretty good. I had one boo-boo here where I kind of over-trimmed a little bit. Not a big deal, just misread something. I even modified the clips on this so I could pull this out quick and get to the clutch for the winch right here, as well as the manual controller if need be. So this is just a little wireless guy. But fits great. Now we're gonna move on to the hitch. So on the last few projects, we actually had some of the groundwork done already. On this, we're gonna be starting from square one. I haven't taken any scan data. I've never had this bumper cover off before. I do kind of know what it looks like back there, and we're gonna be trying to design a hitch. You used to be able to get a factory hitch for these. They're not available anymore, and you're stuck trying to find used ones. So I'd like to come up with a solution for everybody now, and because I think it'd be a great accessory point, a tow point, and multi-use thing for an Overland vehicle or any X5. This is the access point. Some cars had the hitch here. This is the tow hitch point right here. I'm gonna try to get as much scan data of the factory bumper in its position right now. Then I'm gonna pull the cover off, get some more scan data so I can overlay everything and kind of reconstruct the back of the vehicle as it is right now. That way I'll know all my constraints and what I have to work with. Hitting the camera with the laser. All right, so I've aligned the 3 different sections of scan data I've taken with the bumper on. So that's all. You can pick different points and align each piece of data to itself because you have to move the arm around the vehicle because you can't scan the whole thing at once. So that's all done. Next thing I'm gonna do is remove the rear bumper and scan behind that and align that data to this. These screws up here are crusty. So the 6-cylinder cars don't have dual tips right here. So this is kind of directly in the way with this one tip. All right, I'm gonna unhook the bottom first so I can reach in there a little easier. Yep. Broke. It's like a very strange blend of certain areas aren't rusty, and then some areas are very rusty. There it is. So I ruined the plastic bumper getting it out. It's not actually that bad. I'm surprised how much plastic is in the way here. Okay, so if you actually care about your exhaust tips, you should drop the exhaust or move it out of the way. I don't, so I didn't. But just 2 T55s up here, a couple little guys in the wheel well, then this just slides back. So. Right there. There's no plug. I have to unplug all 4. Oh no. How is there no plug for this? Or is it on the other side? That explains a lot.
So what happened?
There's supposed to be a plug here. You can feel all the butt connectors. So at some point in this car's life, this plug must have corroded. Someone cut it out and just spliced it together. So I have to fish the harness out of my entire bumper cord. So is that. Not that one though.
At least it wasn't hard to fish through.
Right. How bad did I ruin the paint? Not bad.
How's everything looking under here?
Predictably pretty crunchy, but definitely a lot to work with as far as trying trying to make a toe point here. All right, so now the bumper's off. I'm gonna scan back behind that, and then perhaps I'll pull this cross member off and scan with that not in place either. And that should be most of the data we're looking for here. I'll start modeling stuff after that. All right, so this is the scan data I collected off the rear bumper area, basically because we're designing the hitch for that. I wanted to make sure the hitch would fit behind all the stock bumper stuff. So I can turn off the body and bumper mounts here. You can see there's this crash beam inside the rear bumper. So I have clearance around all that. It is cozy, but does fit. Same with space for the PDC sensors. All that is good. There's some other options for some of these hitches that aren't really that rugged. So I wanted to make sure it tied into like this kind of underbody structure here, where there's already 2 bolts that are used in the factory like tow bar that goes across. And then these will sandwich behind the factory bumper mounts, basically very much like the factory stuff did. If you had the factory hitch, which is no longer available. So I made 3 pieces, so it'll be a lot easier to fit up to. A couple bolts go through like this side. Be a little easier to package. Safety chain locations, everything fits through this rear bumper opening. So put the trailer plug assembly there. Not, kind of a tricky situation making it all fit between this portion of the body here, as well as that crash beam in the rear bumper, but got it to fit. Should be pretty solid. See what the prototype looks like. So the hitch is here. I QI'd it already. Everything looks pretty good. Everything's to form. There's a couple minor tweaks I want to make, but I want to make sure it fits before we make any of those changes. So we're going to continue on and install it. If you remember me struggling trying to remove the bumper and the PDC stuff while I was on the car when we were taking it apart, the plug's actually right here, and I just didn't pay attention the whole time. Oh, I forgot to clip this. Now we're going to install the centerpiece. I put both of these on loose, so we got some freedom in all the ways here. And I should have gotten these bolts ready first.
What are the washers?
They're directional. All washers are directional. They're stamped. So there's a sharp edge and a rounded edge. Sharp edge towards the part. Rounded edge towards the nut or bolt.
I never knew that. How's everything looking?
Good. Fits good. This gets close, which is the point. Not too close. See if the harness reaches that I made. That'll be the next thing. It should. I have to add length, it's not a big deal. So this is the prototype I made. I heat shrunk up a little adapter from the factory plug to this 7 combo 4-pin trailer plug. So, pretty easy to make something like that. I put the factory BMW grommet on it, which is trying not to fit right now. So that can go through the body and stay sealed. This can go here. Oh yeah, there's here. The grommet. Okay. I'm just gonna loosely throw this on now, and then I wanna test my PDC sensors. One of them was out, I think it was a rear one. So we throw a scan tool on it and actually try to test each one and see what's going on.
So what was the problem, Mike?
So this big mysterious ball of tape here from I guess when it was in an accident or something before. There was this broken piece of previously cut and heat shrunk wire there. So that would be why this sensor had no voltage. So I'm just gonna splice it back together with one of these heat shrinky butt connectors and go for it. So that wraps up the hitch and winch install. Hitch went great, very rugged. This is also a killer recovery point if need be. We've got the light hookup we're gonna try, and then we've got the winch we can test out. So let's get out there.
What's the plan here, Mike?
We're gonna attempt this hill climb up here. There's a bunch of tree roots and it's kind of washed out there, so it's gonna be a difficult up and over situation, and I think the open diffs are gonna get us. Maybe it'll do it, we're gonna try. Worst case, we've got this strap out, so we can throw it around a tree and then hook up the winch. That way we'll save the tree and, you know, get our way out.
So first run of that.
Well, we were thinking we were gonna get stuck so we could show the winch, but I guess not. So, which is cool. And I'm glad we had the confidence to be able to do that without knowing we're gonna get stuck.
More capable than we're giving it credit for.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Did it touch rocker on that side? Or no?
I didn't really see. I'll have to look at the footage.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear anything.
No, I didn't feel anything. I didn't give a shit. That was fine. Winches still don't replace wheeling with friends. You really should, in any dangerous scenario, have a friend with you in case something goes wrong. You never know, you can roll it, you can get stabbed by a stick. Being self-sufficient is great, but from a safety perspective, nothing beats having friends around. So, while we do have a winch, I'm still not trying anything super dangerous. Am I gonna bottom out really bad?
It kind of looks like it. Keep going a little bit.
Easier said than done.
You're good.
Well, I thought that was gonna get this stuck. Apparently not.
Just like
Not surprised, but we just can't get it stuck that easily.
we're gonna get it stuck in a mud puddle.
Yes.
I
I really don't like mud,
don't blame you.
but we want to use the winch. We can't get it stuck on things that, you know, aren't destructive. I'm not trying to just rip the undersides off if I high center it. Nor do I really want to sink it in mud. That was cool. I'm slightly more nervous about this. Let me look. We're fine. I just needed to look again. That How high is the rear tire off the ground?
Maybe like 8-10 inches.
It's fine. I don't like mud, but we have to test a winch, and that's usually how this happens. So, give it a shot. I guess I'm going this way. I guess we're going that way. Great fellow Nate shed. Just thought everyone should know. I've yet to fall. There is still time.
There he goes.
Drive. Sure, I predicted. We're gonna go first. Well, that might be that.
I think it's time to winch.
I think so too. So whenever you're winching off of a tree, you don't want to put the winch cable around the tree itself. You don't want to hook it back to itself. That's bad for the winch cable and it's bad for the tree. So if you could put a strap around it and a D-ring like this, keep the trees healthy, keep your winch alive, all better. Now I just have to get back down without eating shit. All this mud is like the consistency of dog poop. Great success. Hey, that worked well.
It worked.
Didn't even run over the winch. Good. All right, so we came back after a decent rain and everything's quite a bit muddier. So we were able to find a hill that was quite a bit more slick and we couldn't make it up unassisted. So that gave us the opportunity to try out our new winch and winch mount. Everything works great. We now have a rear hitch, which is a great recovery point, and you can tow stuff. So this is shaping up to be a very capable off-roader with just a couple modifications. There's more to come. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can follow me at Mike the Day. If you want to see more videos about this series, click here. If you want to see more enthusiast content, click here.